read a bunch of stuff that they had written in Dragon magazines about making dungeons and stuff, and what they advised is to make the maps, make your maps based on necessities. You know,
Right.
if there's yeah, if there's a small village over somewhere, well, why would that village be there? You know, well, that's because I had to figure out a way that food was coming through, so I put this village here to make food and roads and everything that would design around that would be the same thing with castles or whatever. You know,
Well, right, and I mean, like when I place a town or something like that, I always think about, well, where are they getting their food? Where are they getting their water? You know, um,
where they shit.
yeah, where, yeah. Well, and I mean, it's funny because most of the time, there will in any of my dungeons, I will always put a privy somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, um, that always irritated me in the older dungeons. Like, okay, well, you know,
There'll be a kitchen. There'll be a
right,
dining room.
right. There's gonna be something,
Yeah, but they don't care about the other end of things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, in all modules and all of that, if if you just write down first what rooms the place would need, maybe a small note on why, and then do your map after that.
Right.
And then if you want, then if you go, wow, this is fucking small, then add bullshit rooms like, you know,
Actually, that's not my problem. My problem right now is in seeding it with enough treasure to adequately get a group of 6 players to the next level. Because it is it is designed, for well, it's rated as levels 1 through 3, but I've approached it as these are first level characters, and so you have to seed it with enough treasure for them to hit level 2 by the time they're done. And
is treasure what you level off of in that system?
so in basic and expert D&D, yeah, your treasure is 3/4 of your XP. So
Right.
1 gold piece is equal to 1 XP point, and so it's monetary value of the treasure. Magic items don't give any XP. So,
Oh,
but I mean, obviously they have huge benefits in other ways. But
right.
so seeding it, peppering this treasure throughout is really um, an issue. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, uh, I mean, if you really, besides your basic museums and armories and stuff like that, man, the mausoleums are where you go get your
well,
shit.
and that, yeah, I'm on the
Yeah.
second level, which is all burial chambers and whatnot now. So,
Oh, fuck yeah,
so
man.
that it should probably make up for most of that. The first level is just catacombs, and then you go down a level, and you're into the major burial chambers and whatnot. And so,
Oh, yeah.
there's going to be a
If you
ton
put,
of shit down there.
yeah, anybody that has anything close to an Egyptian religion is gonna pack their shit up with everything. I mean,
Right, right,
yeah, because they tried to set their people up to live in the next life.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even some of the Viking or the Viking burials and
Oh yeah.
Roman tombs that they late period Roman tombs, or even some of the Anglo-Saxon tombs that they've discovered. All of them have something of value in them, whether it be
Oh yeah.
a sword or jewels or something that's worth you know, breaking in and stealing.
Yeah. I mean, grave robbing just to get rings and teeth and everything. I mean, was a valid is a
Yeah,
subjective
I
term.
would I would definitely say grave robbing is probably as old as prostitution as far as
Yeah.
um,
You can
professions
make a
go.
lot of money by digging Granny up and taking her wedding ring,
That yeah, that is the truth.
and she won't complain.
Right.
Yeah, and if you catch it right, Granny might have parts that the local witch or something might buy. You know,
Right.
uh, she's got a. If you didn't bash her head when she died, she's got a nicely formed skull.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But
So yeah, this is my first adventure for this new campaign setting that I wrote, and so yeah, 67 rooms. That's a big adventure.
that's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big intro adventure. So
yeah. You'll have to you'll have to avoid the cut and paste it on your room description.
well, some of it, some there is some cut and paste that goes on because I mean, if in room 43 you describe the underground river as being cold and crystal
Yeah,
clear, there's no reason to retype that. Just copy and paste it when you get to room 50 that also deals with the same river. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean it's
yeah.
the same shit. You're just gonna regurgitate it, but um, I'm really trying to keep the individual rooms individual rather than. I, one of my big pet peeves, and this might be a fifth edition thing, but I hate mega dungeons. Like it, and I mean, really, ultimately, it's always been like this. But it especially bothers me in fifth edition is that um, no matter how different you make the levels, like Undermountain's a great example. Each
Mad
level is
Maze.
each yeah, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Undermountain. Each level is its own ecosystem. It may have interactions or in the form of politics or factions or whatever, with levels above or below it. But each one is different. But no matter what you do in that system, when you get to a mega dungeon, ultimately it boils down to kick open the door, kill the shit inside, take their shit, leave, kick open the next door, kill the shit inside, take their shit, leave, go across the hall, kick open the door. It's just ad infinitum of rinse and repeat over and over and over. And I mean, I'm the DM and I get bored with it.
We actually had players in a Pathfinder game realize that it was more efficient to knock on the door. Because if you can get your opponent to open the door, you get to take a full round action attacking them.
Right.
Whereas if you open the door, you've already used one move action.
Right.
And so, yeah, so I totally agree. I really dislike mega dungeons. The 5-room dungeon makes a lot more sense. I always look at stuff from the perspective of hiring a contractor to build it.
Right.
You're like, okay, so you want the whole room to pivot on yeah, that's gonna cost you a lot of money.
Right.
So yeah. I always look at it like, okay, what are the resources of the person that built this place? How are they able to make it?
Right.
And make sure that it matches the resources and capability of the person who actually created it.
Well, like the dungeon I'm making, it's like the first level, the catacombs, is a mix of um, construction built into caverns that already existed underground, and so, um, and the idea of it and the way the whole thing is laid out is that it wasn't planned out. They just, oh, well, we need another room, so dig a hole through the wall and build another room, kind of thing.
Well,
Or expand this one.
Tecumel has a whole thing where the city's slowly sinking, and so there's ruins built on top of buried ruins.
Right.
And so that type of thing makes a lot more sense when you have something like that, where it's an organic growth from years and years of building crap on top of sunken crap.
Right. And that's kind of what this is. And then like second level is all crypts and whatnot, which this adventure will link into the next adventure that I'm working on, which will deal with the undercroft of the church. And
another one that does that is Pelgrane Press has it's called Swords of the Serpentine, and that's the same type of thing where it's an ancient city where everything's built on top of each other.
Right. Yeah. And so then I mean these catacombs and the crypts and whatnot, they're so old that the
sort
people of
being
this
like-
town don't even know that they're there. And then like the undercroft of the church, of course they know that that's there, but it's basically I call it the undercroft, but really what it is it's an underground or mausoleum, and it connects then to the crypts through a back entrance that nobody has bothered to use for
Sure. I mean,
2,000 years.
I'm here in California, which is a fairly new state, but I mean, there's areas of downtown Fresno that have connecting tunnels from Prohibition period, where so where people could run booze from one place to another, and
same way in Seattle and Portland.
And a lot of those got bricked over and forgotten about and unused. And
there's actually a small area in California, it's maybe a small town I've read about, where a guy was really, really rich in the early 1900s, and rather than just give a bunch of people food, he put them to work digging a huge maze of tunnels for no apparent reason except for to give them something to do to earn money.
I know here in Fresno, where I'm from, there was an Italian guy, Forestier, who bought a huge lot of land that ended up being, you couldn't use it for farming. It had hard pan. It's really, really hard clay that's almost impossible to dig through. And so what he ended up doing is he built caves underneath it. And so there's this huge underground garden is what they refer to it as. He was actually growing fruit trees below ground with skylights to let some sun in, and he built. I mean, it was thousands of square feet of underground housing and everything else. Some of it got sold off to make the freeway go through, and so a lot of it got cut off. But his family still owns the property, and you can take tours. It's really kind of neat. And honestly, given our climate, it makes a lot of sense to be living below ground because, we have quite a few months of the year where we're over 100 degrees. Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Fresno gets hot.
Yeah.
Hello, Gabe. How are the youngins doing?
Oh, one's sick again.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Charlie's got the fever and.
He's got a fever.
The fever for the flavor of a Pringles.
For more cowbell, I think.
More cowbell, yes. Well, I'm glad to hear that nobody else has got it, so bonus so far.
Yeah, so far.
You better find some wood to knock on. Now that I said that, I probably jinxed you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Chris.
You're welcome.
And I know you posted your schedule for unavailability. I've got nothing planned that's going to cause problems, but my mom has just begun chemotherapy.
Ah, yeah.
And my dad's kind of mentally losing it a bit as he's getting into his 80s here, and so there may come a time where I just can't make it because something comes up. So I just wanted to let you know that there's some stuff going on that could possibly cause last minute conflict.
Oh, totally understand. I've been exactly where you were at, and so I mean, yeah, I just posted that looking ahead. So I've been doing this since 2018, and I have to relearn this lesson every year, is that I play pretty much through the Thanksgiving holiday, and we host, and so it ends up being just literally too much, and so I get overly taxed, and my games suffer for it, I suffer for it, and there's just and then every year I make the same decision. Okay, well, I'm going to take the week of Christmas off. And so, I don't know, maybe next year I will remember and not bang my head against the wall for Thanksgiving. But
maybe we can talk about switching it up next year, take Thanksgiving off, but fuck around on Christmas, and it's just going to suck.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, welcome to Deepnight Revelation. We'll be picking up where we left off last week, where Gabe's character Jack got into a knife fight and killed Guns
in his underwear.
And he went full Brock Samson, and the engineering section turned the fuel on, and the last thing that happened was the bridge faction saw the light go on their board, and they said, "Well, we can't have that," and so they turned the fuel back off. But before we get started, we'd like to thank a friend of the Greenwater Guildhall tonight. We would like to thank Dogmight Games. It should be noted that none of these are sponsorships or partnerships of any kind. These are just products that we really like. Dogmight Games makes beautiful wooden accessories for your tabletop games, such as wooden DM screens, dice vaults, dice trays, dice towers. They have this really cool thing called the Player Vault. I'm a huge fan of that. All of their stuff can be customized, and if you order something that's customized, it usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get to you. If you are just in a hurry, they have a bunch of stuff already pre-made in their inventory, and you can check their in-stock items, and those ship in about 1 to 2 business days. If you are looking for something really cool, customized to get your favorite DM or player for Christmas, unfortunately, I think that sleigh has already been packed and left the North Pole. There's just not enough time for them to customize stuff and get it to you. But don't let that stop you. You should definitely order from them. If you have been on the fence in the past, we do have a 10% off discount that's good for everything on their site. When you're checking out, just use the code FRIEND in all capital letters, and that will net you 10% off. If you're a fan of our Deepnight Revelation Friday night games, we do have a website via Obsidian Portal. The adventure log is written in the manner of news service articles, things going on around this area, things going on the ship. It's going to be picking up a little bit more. Right now, these guys are out in the middle of nowhere with no communication, so I haven't really bothered to update because that wouldn't make much game sense. But it's going to be picking up quite a bit here. And if you like that page, please go to the front page and give us a thumbs up. We like to see the fan likes, and we hope you enjoy. So, last thing that we saw was that the Bridge faction had turned off the fuel pumps that were refueling your Serpent-class scout ship, the Askaya. And it is... it barely got, a tablespoon of hydrogen loaded into it before they're like, nope, can't have that. And so your comms, immediately lit up. The Bridge faction contacted you. Well, not through the ship's comms, but through a transceiver, a handheld. They contacted you and told you, that we're not refueling your ship until you agree to take some of our bridge crew with you so that they can explain the situation to the authorities. And because, we have a mutiny going on. We can't just have somebody show up, refuel us, and we're still in the middle of dealing with a mutiny. We gotta nip this in the bud. So, how are you guys reacting to this?
We'll be very
stuff up front.
We'll be very happy to provide a detailed report that you provide us. Your mutiny doesn't seem to be as dangerous as the full-on infestation of your ship, and that part of allowing anyone who might be infected with a psychic spore infestation seems to be far more critical than allowing several people to leave with us.
I just wanted to respond back. I wanted to have the skipper say, fake news, there's no infestation. But no.
There are more of you than can fit on our ship, so we certainly can't take everyone to begin with. The entire survival of your ship is dependent on us leaving and getting rescue. If you do not allow us this fuel, we will all die out here, and that certainly is not to your or anyone's advantage.
Make a persuasion plus. I'll let you. You're making a lot of sense. So make a persuasion plus intellect check.
Okay. I'm not trained in any of this, so perfect. Add that to the... All right, I'm -3. Got a 4.
So,
Ooh.
Captain Miklos says, he says, well, I understand everything that you're saying, and I agree with you to a point, but whether there is an infection on the ship or not, that's really that would be secondary to any rescue crew that's going to come out here. We have to take care of this whole situation. I've got crew members up here in the bridge that we're starving. We don't have a whole lot of food left, and if you could at least take my master at arms, Reese Arbone, with you to wherever you're going to go, so that they can explain things.
I put him on mute and say, evidently the Sergeant at Arms eats quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, how can he explain something in person in any way that it'd be different than a recorded message? Once we get back, we're going to be in quarantine. We are not going to be able to leave our ship until we can make sure that our ship is decontaminated. So he's not going to be able to do an in-person meet and greet once we return. Record your report. We will bring it. Don't forget, we have fuel scoops and the ability to puncture your hull.
I'm just not. I mean,
there's a cloud. There's a spore cloud right outside the airlock. How in the fuck are they even going to get on the ship?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's
a good point.
That's an important point. You should stick in there.
So I'm not convinced that if you were to puncture the fuel tanks and have the gas leak out, that it would be in a concentration high enough for your fuel scoops to do much. Fuel scoops are designed for you to go through a gas giant, its upper atmosphere, where hydrogen is plentiful. When you puncture a tank and it leaks out into space, that would be not plentiful. It's going to go in every which direction all over the place. And fuel scoops don't function, hydrogen is one of the most common elements, or is the most common element in space. If they were to function that way, then you wouldn't have to really scoop from a gas giant, because you could just open up your fuel scoops and wait, and it would fill up. So I'm not convinced that fuel scoops would work in that case.
All right.
But that's a good point. You bring up the spore cloud that is possibly sentient. You discover that it moves with, or at least it sure seems to move with, some form of intelligence. Does Bocephus want to interject and maybe attempt to bring that point up to good Captain Miklos?
And I will also point out to good Captain Miklos that you have this ship, on its nature of its own, has to be flagged both a biohazard and a sanctuary for a unique life form. This is beyond your hands of the ship and your own view of the situation. This is something that's above your head, and we are working on the behalf of the Imperium Scout Service. You should perhaps think about staying in your lane and allowing us to refuel, go and bring back the proper authorities to handle this.
Make it
not to mention fuel, water, and everything else you'll need to survive.
Yeah. You're on a time thing, and the chances of another ship showing up are very, very minuscule. And
we have enough food for ourselves for a matter of a couple weeks. The longer you delay us, the longer you delay food arriving for your crew.
That's a really good point. So between the two of you, I'm going to let whichever one of you wants to make it. You can make another persuasion plus intellect check, but you get to make it with a boon.
I'll let you do it, Bocephus. I am untrained, and my stats are not not adding any bonuses.
Oh yeah, well I actually have the persuasion at 1, and if I'm able to add my intellect, I'll get a +2 to this.
Yeah, I'm getting a
So-
-3 to my roll. So
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, you can make
Um,
that roll with a boon. Roll 3 and take the 2 highest.
All right, so roll 3d6 plus, what did I say, 2? And show me the money. So that's a 7.
Okay, so Miklos is adamant about you taking Master at Arms Reese Arbone with you. He's not going to budge. And I mean, Arbone can sleep in the cargo hold. He doesn't care.
Can he spacewalk?
It's going to be a long walk.
Oh no, I'm just saying, can he put on a vac suit and make the journey to our ship outside?
Yeah, he could do that. I think.
I mean, I understand that, the dice are telling us that we're now getting to get stuck with somebody unless we change tactics as a crew and start threatening. Because the next response is to talk to engineering and see if we can talk them to cutting off life support to the bridge and having some fun times with those games, But, I mean, I'm not necessarily sure that's the kind of crew that we are to threaten.
I don't know. I mean, you've been here maybe, a day at most? And things are dismal, if not dire. I don't know at what point you decide to start being that guy.
Oh, well, Bo Cephas is from a race that has the attitude of being patient and waiting things out more than taking direct conflict. So, I mean, just to play my character correctly, I have to vote that we take the extra guy and the fuel and go. And we should move to trying to safely take this guy, quarantine him, give him an intense medical inspection, perhaps. To help Sarda accept it, perhaps I could offer another dose of the magic sleepy juice, and we just keep this guy in the airlock buffer zone the whole time.
Well, I mean, the main thing is if you can scan him to determine that he's, free of the, right? Because we can try the medical scan for fungi, and you can scan to see if there's any other psychic.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely give him an intense probing and scanning.
Because that's the thing I see is that it's really, we want to make sure that we're not bringing on board anything that's going to contaminate us or our ship.
Provided that he accepts the 3-hour minimum wait period for no reason whatsoever before I can perform any medical procedure whatsoever. We can put a little bench in an area where he can sit, maybe fill out some random paperwork about his favorite colors.
So
I'm mocking going to a family practice.
So yeah, I was gonna say, well, I mean, there's always low births, but the Serpent does not appear to have any low births.
Nope, it's a scout ship.
Yeah, it is pretty minimal. It's got probes, but aside from that,
Are those not?
Go ahead.
yeah, I don't see that it has any low births.
No, it wouldn't.
What do you think, George? I mean,
I don't mind taking somebody off. I don't want to take anybody off that ship. I think that's just going to be bad. I think we're just going to end up polluting the universe with this guy. But I'm not opposed to pretending to take somebody off that ship so we can get fuel and leaving him in our cargo hold and then decontaminating our cargo hold and sending our contaminated cargo into space, meaning our whoever it is on the bridge. Like, I'm just being realistic. That's honestly how I feel. I don't want to take anybody off that bridge.
How would we justify that when we get debriefed? Because we are going to be debriefed, and assuming that anyone from this ship survives, anybody from the bridge crew survives, they will know that we took this person on board our ship. So how do we fill out that form so that it's understood that we didn't just
Tragic
whim,
accident in cargo hold.
well,
No,
Well, we
you
don't
know,
have to
not-
accidentally
you know what?
cargo hold him. We can.
Why
bring
don't we
it-
just be honest and say this was the risk that we had to take, but we didn't want to risk bringing somebody that might have been contaminated back, so we ended up spacing them.
So we lied to their supervisor, took him on board, possibly contaminating our ship, and then spaced him. That's
Yes,
what we're going to say
because
we
he
did.
has a whole bunch of laser turrets that we would prefer not to deal with, and we want to get back.
They
Well,
have been dealt with.
that's been
the
dealt
gunner
with.
was murdered.
Right.
Well, yeah, until somebody else takes the controls of the turrets, and then
That's
they
a
start.
pretty good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when push comes to shove, we need to create this buffer zone between us and them. If you want to go deception, fine. Let's tell the guy that we'll take his friend, begin pumping the hydrogen fuel, spacewalk your friend in a vac suit, at which time we will take him into our airlock and begin decontamination procedures. Inside the airlock, I will come in with a vac suit, and I will give him an intense physical. At the time that the hydrogen fuel gets put in place, I'll give him a dose of the knock yay juice. Then we put him on the other side of the airlock in his vac suit with him unconscious. He'll wake up. It's not killing him. He'll wake up, and we'll leave him there, and we'll go on. And then when we get outside of range, we'll say, "Hey, you need to go pick your boy up. He's asleep in the thing."
It's far too much risk. If we're going to do any of that, it would be we allow him into our airlock while refueling. And then when we leave, we do not allow him into our ship, and we force him out of the airlock back to his ship. That would be the closest I would come. The idea of you entering the airlock with him, he could immediately be hostile and attack you. So it
doesn't matter. He could have like some sort of like even any of that, whatever it is that's infecting the ship and growing vines inside of ventilation shafts or causing spores. If he has even anything or her, anything like that on him, and we let it into our ship and it gets into our ventilation system,
correct.
We might as well just pack up and just crash our ship into a planet and spare the universe our catastrophic
So we're going to go the
disease.
bait and switch and just tell the guy, "Hey, step the fuck out of our airlock," and then we're going to go.
I say we say no, because frankly, he loses. In this win, I mean, eventually he has to give us this fuel. It is the only way he survives. It's a matter of how long will he wait? How long is he willing to wait? How much food are his people willing to go without before he allows us to go get help for him? We're not getting help for ourselves. We're getting help for him. He is delaying his own rescue. And so, we hold the cards.
Well,
So
our roles have kind of dictated that he's going to stand firm on that. Take a guy.
So there
We
is-
can out.
There is.
Well, we can stand firm on, you know what? We're not taking your guy. We'll all just die here together. One big happy family
there
floating around in
is
space on a blasted
one-
up space station.
There is one piece. There is one fact that you might be overlooking. So when he says that his bridge crew is starving, and keep in mind this is all over radio transceiver. I don't. Yeah, you probably have video. So the video that you're getting. Let me show you what this guy looks like. So this is Captain Miklos. But and maybe this picture doesn't really do it all that much justice, but you can tell looking at him that his cheeks are gaunt. He's got circles under his eyes. Obviously, he hasn't been sleeping well or much at all. And it's pretty obvious from Bocephus, your standpoint. You're looking at him, and you can tell that he's a little bit malnourished. Now,
he has those same markings that everybody that we've come in contact with has had these reddish bruises somewhere on their face.
Yeah.
Every piece of art we've been shown with a face has these crazy things on this infected ship.
So The other piece of information that you might be overlooking is that you have not heard any reports, and you don't really see this when Bocephus and George went to the mission ops pod and got the quote unquote cure or whatever. You didn't see any signs of malnutrition there. Yes, there were people that were overworked and tired. That's obviously a given. I mean, the situation is just, it's crap. People aren't going to be sleeping. But you didn't see any signs of malnutrition. Likewise, any communication that you've had with engineering, you don't see any signs of malnutrition. And when you met, sorry, I just brain farted on his name. The Darian, Trenance, he didn't seem malnourished. In fact, Trenance, of all of them, seemed to be, I wouldn't say well rested, but he seemed like he was getting enough, just enough sleep, and he had a full belly. So the only faction that is dealing with starvation problems is the Bridge faction.
What if we just attempt to harvest piping, tubing, things like that from the other areas just right around here in these shuttle areas? A lot of damage. We could probably get a lot of stuff in space and tap their hydrogen tanks and pump the fuel out by our own line, bypass all that shit.
Does anybody have engineering power?
No.
We got a guy
I have
with engineering.
mechanics. I have a mechanical skill that maybe we can jury rig something.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we have an engineer, right?
I'm J drive only. I do not have any other form.
Well,
I mean,
you would
obviously,
at
I'm
least have it at
trained
0.
in it. Yeah, I'm trained in it,
Yes.
and my
You'll-
education's decent.
Yeah.
What about?
But I mean, the big thing is, my problem is that I worry that if we bypass the fuel, and it's going to take a while to refuel, he's going to try to figure out another form of leverage, and his other form of leverage is the guns. And so, if we take away the fuel thing, he's going to realize first of all, there's no gunner there to keep him away from the guns. We've eliminated that, and so I worry that if he loses his leverage, he's going to look for other leverage, and the other leverage is the guns.
Well, the one thing about the guns is that in order for him to get the guns back online and restore control to the bridge, he would have to send somebody out to manually switch that.
Right.
And logically, if he were willing to send people out, especially that far, why wouldn't he just send out groups to scavenge for food, like the engineering mission pod group and the Starboarders have done?
Well, he's already talking about doing that with his Master at Arms, right, to get to our ship.
Well, but that's in his mind, that's different. He's not sending him out to, change any of the situations on the ship itself. He wants to send the Master at Arms to basically give his report in person. His Master at Arms is now effectively acting as first officer. He's effectively acting as XO.
We could just buy time by saying, well, first that we need to take the time to contaminate an area and set up a quarantine area for the guy that we might take. And we're not actually taking a guy, we're just buying the time. And during that time, we scavenge our piping and our hosing. He's not going to know we're doing this. And we just go and tap their fucking hydrogen. And we've scanned the ship. We should know where their fuel tanks are and be able to hit it from the outside and take it. And then when we start taking fuel, that will be the moment that he could possibly figure out what the fuck we're doing. And because he'll see his hydrogen levels dropping drastically. And then if he wants to talk about negotiation or figuring out how to get it, that's when his clock starts. How fast would we pump versus his reaction times on that? If we're actually in a negotiation with him while we're pumping the fuel, he might not even be paying attention to the fuel levels on the sensors.
Who does he think that his first officer is going to report to on Chandler Station? It's not run and maintained by Deep Space, so it's or Deep Night. It's not like he's going to a Deep Night central location. Chandler Station is an Imperium staging ground. It's
Well,
so I don't know who.
Chandler Station's privately owned and operated, but yeah, there is a scout service base there. I mean, if you want to call it
Right,
that.
but it's not a Deep Night owned facility, so it's not like his first officer has to go report immediately. If his first officer has to report somewhere, it's probably going to be Tobiah, which is going to be multiple jumps, which would mean months.
You are aware, and this is from news service articles, before you even came out here, you're aware that Deep Night, as of recently, is in bed pretty securely with the Imperium Navy. The Imperium Navy sold them a demilitarized Planet class cruiser, and when I say demilitarized, I'm saying that very loosely because it still has a ton of guns on it. It still has its spinal mount weapon. The military, looked at so Deep Night with that vessel that they purchased. Deep Night said that they wanted to keep the particle cannon spinal mount, and they were going to use it strictly for scientific purposes. And the military said, well, you don't need this particular one. We could put a cheaper one in. But then they looked at they crunched the numbers, and they're like, you know what? It would cost too much money for us to replace it. Fuck it, we'll just sell it to you as is, whatever. And so Deep Night is in pretty tight with the Imperium Navy. Clearly.
Right. Will the captain tell us where his fueling shuttles are?
So as suspected,
they're disposable.
Yeah, he jumped with what fuel was available in them, jettisoned them, and then jumped that little bit further to get to the refueling station, or to the top secret naval refueling depot. So if you wanted to tap the fuel tanks, you would have to make it back towards we're on the same deck as where the mission pods were. It is down here is where you would have to tap that.
Let's tap that ass.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah. Are we all on board with that then? Let's just take the fucking fuel?
I think I would far rather he understand the realities that best case scenario, we jump out immediately, we ask for help, and within a day, some other ship is able to jump back with food and water and the things that this crew needs to survive. But a full rescue is not going to occur for months, and so they need to basically get supplies to survive. And so he should be giving us his emergency list of things he needs to survive over the next few months so that a ship can be brought out immediately.
And he can transmit that stuff. We don't need to have someone come on board with a stick.
Exactly. And we are be happy to he can transmit an encrypted report that we will be happy to relay off to someone else. There is no reason for anyone from his ship to come onto our ship. And frankly, when we get back to the station, we should not be getting on the station because there's a good chance that we're bringing contaminants.
We don't need to discuss the station here and now. All we need to do is just figure out which game plan we're wanting to go forward with.
I think he needs to understand all those facts.
Why? Why do we give a damn what he's talking about?
Because he needs to make a decision that makes sense. And I think we need to be having that conversation well documented so that he can be seen to be asking the unreasonable. Because again, we're dealing with companies, bureaucracies, and billions of credits worth of equipment, and a lot of manpower. And if he is making
we
demands,
don't work for Deep Night with anything other than just finding the ship and getting out of here.
Exactly, and we can cover our ass by making sure that he's the one asking for the impossible and the unreasonable. And he needs to understand that we do not want to contaminate Chandler's station. we are going to have to go through extreme decontamination. We do not want to allow any personnel or any objects from his ship on board our ship, because they will possibly endanger us and Chandler Station. And the reality is, we can get supplies brought back, and those supplies can be dumped out and transferred, in a way that would be safe. He should be making that list of what he needs to survive. But it's this is a contamination issue, and he needs to also get his own shit together. There are 2 other organizations that are operating on the ship. And
so you're against tapping the tank and taking the fuel and just leaving?
I mean, I'm for him realizing what his job is as captain.
Okay, I'm all right. Let's fuck that captain and all that. Just a simple
So
question.
you want to try to convince the captain? Because Sarda, if you totally want to do that, that's okay. But if he's not going to be convinced, I'm going to hang out with Gabe and Bocephus, and we're going to figure out a way to tap that fuel tank.
Well, I'm all for letting this. This is a recorded conversation. This recording will be transmitted to the Imperium and to Deepnight Systems. Your ship is contaminated. It is contaminated by a fungal infection that includes psychic abilities. There is no way in hell we are allowing anyone or anything from your ship onto ours. We are willing to go and get supplies and see about having a rescue mission mounted, but we will not allow any of your personnel or any of your objects on board our ship. And we will be willing to starve here without your fuel. We have more food than you do, and you are the ones that need the immediate rescue. If you are going to risk your entire crew's life because you believe that one person needs to give a report in person rather than have us transmit a recorded message, then that is on you. And so I want to make sure that I have a recording of you, the captain of this ship, saying that you cannot get control of your own crew, and that you must have a person who is possibly contaminated with a universe, in damaging infection, that person has to ride with us so that they can give a message in person rather than you transmit an encrypted message. I want to have you tell me that in person while this is being recorded.
So
I like that idea. That might actually work.
Go ahead. So Sarda, go ahead and make another persuasion plus intellect, but make it at boon. So roll 3, take the 2 highest.
Because this.
So I agree that there's a failure of leadership on the part of the captain. Can we contact the other factions and see if there's another member of leadership that they prefer?
They'll all give you a different answer.
The problem is that they don't have their hands on the fuel line.
Yeah, the mission faction, they'll throw their hands up and be like, "We don't know how to command a ship," because they don't. They're just a bunch of egghead scientists. The engineering faction will, of course, vote for the chief engineer, Dak Moralder. She's a Vargur, but and I mean, she wouldn't be a half bad choice, but her skills really, she doesn't have any of the administrative abilities for commanding a ship. She's good at turning a wrench, and the Starbirders, I mean, you could get in touch with Trenance, but their only real focus is survival. And so their mode of operation is just to go out, scavenge everything they can, and get back to the starboard TSM so that they can hunker down in their little cots and little tent city and survive. And none of them are really of command authority. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know that you're really going to end up with any decent answer for that.
Well, that's as good a roll as I possibly can get. That's 2 6s, so
okay,
that's a 9.
So your screen starts to, or the computer, the comm starts to receive a list of supplies that they need. And you know that when you look at this list, the list of supplies is only enough to supply the bridge faction, which previously consists of like 23 members. And it's only enough, they're only asking for enough to supply them for 3 weeks. And while this list is coming in, Captain Miklos says that he understands I understand your position, and he says, all right, so I can understand it. And he looks over at his shoulder and he says, no, you don't have to put that on. And he looks back at the screen and he says, I understand your position and your concern about the contagion. I personally don't feel that it's really that bad of a situation, but I can understand your concern. My primary responsibility is to return this ship to charted space and to get my crew, mainly the crew here on the bridge, out of this situation. That is my position as captain of the Endeavor. And I mean, it dawns on you, this guy isn't, I mean, he is an ex-naval captain, and you do run into this level of zealotry with naval captains, but usually that involves something that is going to get them some kind of promotion to a cushier position in the Navy. This guy is taking more of a hardline corporate stance. He knows what the corporation told him when he took command, and basically that is that this multi-billion-dollar vessel is his responsibility, and don't fuck it up. Don't scratch the paint job or anything. And is kind of the goal. That's kind of the level that, if you've ever dealt with any manager from a Fortune 500 company, you know exactly what this guy. It doesn't matter if they were military or not. This guy is following that corporate line.
I worked for a Fortune.
To take restitution charges on stolen hydrogen than I am to sit here and starve to death. I'm just saying that.
I'm just saying he's going to blink before us. He has to. So,
but we don't need to play chicken. We can just do our thing.
But we can do this by the book and have him and win. So it's and I will again say this conversation is recorded. We have noticed that you have not ordered nearly enough food to last your group of people, let alone those that are working in engineering, let alone those in operations.
Yeah, he cut you off and says, fuck those people in engineering. He's like, they're all mutineers.
I'm going to begin a spacewalk to go to the hydrogen tanks and see about starting with the tap.
If I could right now, I would turn off all of the atmosphere to engineering. Be done with those mutant scum.
Okay, I will remind you that I'm recording this, and it will be passed along to Deepnight and to the Imperium. So you're saying that your failure to keep control of your ship.
Wow.
Your failure to keep control of your crew means that you are now willing to allow 2/3 of the surviving crew to starve to death, rather than ask us to simply bring enough food for everyone.
He says, your ship wouldn't be able to bring enough food for everyone.
Our ship would not be bringing it. We would have to report back and decontaminate. It will be another ship that will have to mount a return with food.
But
it's going to be.
He basically says everybody knows that the penalty for mutiny is death. I mean, that
again, that is up to the courts to determine whether it's mutiny or not. They are your crew. You are basically saying that you are allowing them to starve because you failed to allow your crew to continue to work in conjunction with you.
He basically says, take it however you want, but the penalty for mutiny, especially under a dire situation, which this would classify as, is to shoot the mutineers. I mean,
We've had full cooperation from both engineering and
So-
from the your medical teams. I don't understand why you have not been able to maintain leadership. They appear to be eating fine. So clearly, you have done something to cause problems as a leader. We can't help with that. However, it would seem that in terms of restocking things, we would at least want to bring back enough food for everyone to make it.
he cuts the communications off.
All right, well then we're getting our gas, and you know, Let's-
Gabe,
let's-
are you
Do I
gonna
have
say
a-
something?
Do I have some way of talking to him, or talking to the commander?
He at this point has cut communications. I mean, he's not answering any calls.
Yeah, you know what?
Can
We're gonna take our gas and screw him.
I think he's had
Can I-
people. It sounded
can I
like somebody
send
was
him
suiting
a-
up.
Can I send a message to the command crew?
I mean, yeah, you could. I don't see why not. What did you want to send?
I want to try and use my leadership skill and say that your captain's failure to control the mutiny and to allow the spread of contagion constitutes a clear failure of leadership. I will be there to deal with him personally if the command crew does not either incarcerate or eliminate the problem and find a rapid solution before I get there. I will deal with it personally.
Go ahead and make a leadership plus leadership plus your social check.
All right.
That's actually pretty good. All you get back is that the message was received. That's it.
All right. I'm gonna
You
take
get the
my
little
laser
SMS
rifle and my.
message, the little smiley face.
Based on that conversation, it sounded like somebody was suiting up. There's a good chance that someone's about to start spacewalking our way, or towards the guns.
Do I have my polycarpus armor on board?
Yes.
I'm gonna suit up and
Yeah, you guys have
I
all
wanna-
of your equipment.
I want to suit up and take my laser rifle and my dagger, and I want to contact Reese to escort me to the command area.
So you want to contact the Master at Arms to escort you to command area?
No, the neutral guy,
Oh, Trinance. Okay.
Trinance. Yeah, the guy who knows his way around. Because I don't know how to get there,
Okay.
or could I? Unless I could figure it out somehow with a computer.
Yeah, you could figure it out with the computer. So you are over here. Actually, you're like right under where it says shuttle access.
Okay.
And let's see, where's the... Here it is. Here is the gantry. This gantry goes right here. Right to where the bridge faction is at. Now, you will have to... so these gantries are, if you notice, they're not very wide. They're like maybe 3 feet in diameter. And that's one of the reasons why they're not used very often. But they are traversable. There is an airlock on either end. And so there is another way of getting there. You could do through the emergency crawlway, which is up here and connected to the particle accelerator. And that would take you in this direction and drop you directly to the common area and the galley of what is effectively the bridge. This being the bridge. 25.
Well, I want to try and contact Trinance and the head of engineering if I can.
Okay, so yeah, you get both of them in one call because Trinance gave your transceiver to Dak Malalder down in engineering. He's still down there. He's palling it up and sitting around shooting the shit with the engineering crew.
Okay.
And so what did you want to say to them?
because I want Trinance to lead me, and I want the head of engineering in case I run into any physical door problems
Okay.
to open accesses, and I want him to guide me through the kind of the clearest, most deliberate route.
So I
And
guess
I'm going to give him.
there's a rear gantry too. Here.
Okay.
Which would put you in here. So you've got your choice of 3 modes of ingress. Trinance's recommendation would be the emergency crawlway because it's difficult for them to post any guards. The bridge faction is well noted for.
Are you trying to assault the bridge faction? Is that what you're doing?
Essentially. But I also want to warn them as I'm coming, so I'm hoping that the command crew itself will mutiny and take the captain out, them realizing and making the decision and taking him out, so that I won't have to once I get there.
I think he has sent an assault team towards us. They were suiting up.
So be it. But
And so, additionally, while we're talking to the engineering team, we might want to ask them to put together their list of shopping, what they need.
I'm sure they'll send that list.
Actually gonna
that's not a problem.
starting our siphon of the fuel tanks, or are we gonna?
Well, I don't really have any skills to help that way.
Right, but if they're coming to the ship, we can see about defending the ship or fighting them. You know, I mean, didn't we acquire like a laser rifle? Who can use that?
I can. I have it.
I think my concern is that if we're worried about contamination, you walking to the bridge kind of defeats it negates our entire argument about contamination.
Yeah, because we don't want to bring any of that stuff.
Well,
I just think talking is. I think we've done the talking. Is what I think.
I think we grab the gas, but we do not. That does not take us in the ship. Does not take us in a direct contact with any person who might be contaminated. I think us going to the bridge means we might as well just let as many of them come on our ship as we want. I mean, it's
well. I'm going to the bridge to hopefully get a change of command going because I see that the failure of leadership is the real problem on their ship.
I think an alien contamination is the real problem.
Well,
yeah,
whatever.
We want to stay away from their ship. That's the whole thing. We just want to really seriously stay away from their ship. We don't want to go back on that thing. We don't want to have to bring any more risk bringing a contaminant back to our ship.
No space herpes.
Yeah. Sure, but the lack of command is
rifle
still going to cause us a problem. They can still cause us problems as we're trying to get the fuel off. So I'm going to go try to solve it. If that means you won't let me back on our ship, that's fine.
They can't
I'm not
get
bringing
us
anybody
close
back
range.
on this ship.
They cannot get us at close range. That's the whole. That's one of the good deals about actually being in close range with a big ship like this and their guns.
Well, and the faster we refuel, they do not have control of those guns at the moment.
Well,
so dithering is going to allow them to get that access.
They seem to be able to create problems beyond that even. What if they just dump fuel? What if they hinder our progress in tapping? The failure of command seems to be the crux of the problem of the whole ship.
And so the idea is
so
to turn
if I
over
can't
command,
affect
we can turn over command to engineering. Engineering has the keys to the entire ship, whether anyone wants to accept it or not. That's where the power to everything is. If we deal with engineering cuts power to the weapon system. Nobody on the bridge has jack shit to say about it. The guns won't shoot at us, no matter who pushes what button. There's no power.
That's a really good point. So,
yep.
I mean,
engineering does life support.
All we need to do is send the engineering team the recording that we just got from the captain, as well as the list of things that he claims is what he needs in response. So it's obvious he's selling off the engineering team completely.
Do you want to send that? Do you want to send that recorded message?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Here are the list of things that he claims they need for resupply, and here is his message when questioned about the fact that there was not enough supplies for your group or for the group in
and we can let the mission control
we'll have engineering help us refuel the ship. They'll help us jimmy something.
So after there's like a couple of minutes of silence, and the chief engineer comes on here. the chief engineer comes on, and she says, I'm shocked that he is that that adamant about just foregoing the rest of the crew. I mean, the reason for the mutiny is because of his command decisions. She says this is not a military vessel, and he acts like it is. She says, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to send a list of our own requirements and what I would recommend for the mission crew, and essentially some extras, because I know that Trinance has some ideas for some supplies for the starboarders. She says, and while I'm doing that, I would like to send a 5-man engineering crew to bypass the manual or the bridge fuel lock and directly fuel your ship.
I like this
Fully
idea.
support
This is
that.
working. This is working.
Yeah.
This is a good idea, Serta.
Well, I mean, it's you're dealing with the bureaucracy. You kill them with the emails. I mean, you make sure that they spelled out exactly what they want, and when you know that they're fucking themselves over, you get it in writing.
Yep, and
So-
I also want to go ahead and request Sarda if you would run a scan real quick and look at where all these bodies are to make sure they're not bringing a force to us.
I've made multiple rolls on, life scanning the ship. I wanted to get a good map of where people were and where the fungal infection was, so that we can provide the most accurate report we can give.
It's not that. Is I'm wanting you to scan and look for the life forms to see if they're moving towards our ship.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
So
be
what
happy
did
to.
you get on electronic sensors?
I got a 12 was my last time I rolled that to do a life scan to basically, that's the 12 that if you scroll up a bit.
Okay.
That was basically the life scan with using the advanced life scanners of the scout ship to determine where people are versus fungal infection, versus whatever, figure out where everybody is.
So your 12 is dead on, but what you're getting back from the sensors takes you a while to determine what it is that you're seeing, because when it scans, the life analysis suite, it's a little bit more advanced than like military grade sensors. Military grade sensors will scan for neural network patterns. Life analysis searches for enzymes and gas patterns, things like that. But the initial strike that comes back is the entire ship is glowing like it's alive, and so you're spending time sifting through and filtering this data to get it down to the base constituents, because this fungal infection is so wide that it's just lighting up the whole ship.
Yeah, we don't want to go on this ship.
It's like you're looking. It's almost like at first you think that there must be something wrong with these old scanners, but there isn't, because when you look at it, you're getting an outline of the ship, but it looks like the inside of the ship's filled with a orangey static.
And that's probably like a cloud-like. But I mean, are there nodules where it's like I'm actually getting human life forms? Those probably stand out, because from what I read of the sensors, I mean, it's designed to do a survey of a planet,
right,
in terms of like how many bipeds are there, how many that type of thing. And so, am I able to identify where people are? Yeah.
After basically running your filters and cutting out what you've determined is the actual contagion, you're able to then determine pretty much. You're able to determine a couple of things. You can see clearly that the engineering faction and their 17 members are straight down here in engineering in various locations throughout, but they don't seem to be moving around a whole lot. You do see that 5 of them are breaking off and heading towards the lift access to the fuel consoles here. Now, you also see that there is like 23 people kind of cored up in this section. Occasionally, you'll see one or two move out into this area, but for the most part, they're staying in this front pod, which is the bridge, and they've got some common areas and a briefing room and things like that. You do see that there is a bunch over here in the starboard PSM. You're not seeing anything up front because that's a particle accelerator, but you do see various life forms, people moving throughout here, and then you see, of course, up here you see that there is the mission faction. That you can see that that's where the medical bay and whatnot is that both Cephas and George visited. Now, the interesting thing is that you are picking up a large amount of life signs. Well, you're picking up multiple. Excuse me. You're picking up multiple life signs, but you're also picking up one spot that's extremely bright and large, right here, in the aft science pod, which both Cephas and George had gone over, and the interior of that pod is overgrown to the point where they couldn't see in the windows.
And that's supposedly where the strange artifacts are stored.
Yes.
That help trigger all this.
Right.
So,
there was an artifact brought aboard from the droid ship that they had found adrift.
They could technically cut that pod loose, right?
No. Well, I mean, anything can be cut loose, but I mean,
well, it's a pod, right? I mean, it's not actually part of the ship.
It is actually part of the ship. They just call it the aft.
Okay, I got you. I didn't know if it was like the fuel pods where they're.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Let me see. Hold on here.
I mean, the case can easily be made that this captain has lost his ability to command. I mean, and so we're supporting the engineering people, and they're getting us the fuel. Apparently, they'll cut the power to the weapons, and if they're staying put, I think that's win all across the board. We just guard the ship and stay put.
Well, I think we get all three factions to give us their reports to bring back, as well as their requirements for immediate assistance. And because any kind of rescue mission is going to be a very long-term and a very involved process. I mean, it could literally be 3 months before they're able to really do a full-on rescue. And so they basically need emergency supplies and what they need to get by in the next, and it's probably going to be at least 2 weeks before they get that back. And so it's more along the lines of, I need, if there's medicine or someone needs insulin. I mean, all the basics that people might need to survive for a few months of trapped on this ship. We need that list from each group. And clearly the command gave us just what the command needs, but engineering can provide their list, and ops can provide their list. And we can,
and that is basically what the chief engineer has done, is provided you a list that would get the rest of the crew by, assuming that there is a rescue coming on the way.
And then if he wants to provide an encrypted report that we can pass on, be happy to pass that encrypted report on. And I think we should allow the same for ops. We've talked to them.
Oh, she supplies you with all of her logs from.
Perfect.
I think we should refrain from trying to contact the bridge or even talk to bridge on any kind of way until we're about to leave.
They've cut us off. They've cut us off at this point. But I was worried that what it sounded like was somebody was suiting up and back, and so to me that means that they are possibly.
Fair. I'm just saying, the more we talk to them, the more that we're poking a bear. that there's something to deal with. If we just leave them alone until we're about to leave, and then if we want to send them a message or try to talk to them when we're actually about to fly away, in my opinion, that is the more logical.
I don't think we need to talk to them at all right now. They've just basically forsaken their entire crew on this ship.
He severed communications and did not provide a report.
Yeah.
And we
I would like to try to contact the mission people and see if they could send us the data as well, because they've got a nice little data link with us, because I left my transponder there. Maybe on the artifacts, any information or things. All this is stuff that people that are coming to rescue them would want to know.
So you contact the mission, the mission faction, and I gotta find another name.
I gotta take my transponder off my character sheet. It's pretty much gonna leave it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it
is. Mission officer Jarla Klein comes on, and she responds, fairly well to the idea of getting supplies and whatnot. But similar to the captain, she continues to bring up that she would really like to go back with you. She has invaluable data, and she attempts to, just like before, she kind of entreats Dr. Bosif as well.
She's asleep.
Oh, that's right. She is asleep.
She's out. There's
second command will be who's talking to us.
So yeah,
and I think it's this infestation that's actually infecting people. I think that's what's talking for most of these people. That's why they want to. It wants to get off the ship. It's a bad alien life form that's infecting people, and it wants to get off the ship.
Yeah, it wants to spread.
That's where my brain is. So
the other scientist is she sends you over essentially whatever you want. She sends you all the data they have on what they're calling the artifacts. These are really just hull sections, a piece of a console, things like that. She sends you over pictures, all of their data reports, medical logs of what's gone on since, all of it. And Wonderful. She sends you over Jarla Klein's full mission logs. And when Jarla Klein's mission logs get here, you can go through from when the Endeavor first launched, and she seems like a fairly straightforward scientific officer. But then after the infection happens, you note that the first thing that you notice is that her log entries become less and less frequent. Whereas, before she was making log entries maybe 3 or 4 times a day, now you're seeing maybe one log entry every 2 or 3 days. Constant, in her logs after that point, there is a consistent feeling of her wanting to get the ship back to civilization. And she kind of glosses that over with that, all of the crew deserve to see their families again. And we need to get back to civilization. But like I said, her log entries after the infection are few and far between.
Does the Skya have any kind of drones, radio drones, message drones, anything, warning beacons or anything?
No. I mean, the Skya, you've got probes. You could launch probes and just have them sit somewhere.
So could those probes send out a warning distress signal to flag this as a high hazard area, biohazard?
I don't see why not. Yeah,
okay,
the probes drones on scout ships are pretty open to what you want them to do. I mean, The only downside of them is if you shoot them at a planet, you have to go down and pick it up manually. That's the only downside. But as far as like being in space, you can park them somewhere, and you know, if you want them to transmit a message, they'll do that.
I definitely want to set those up for when we depart. That they will. Anybody that comes in this system should be warned of the grave danger of going on this ship, and that it's infected, and you know, all of that.
So,
I mean,
so Gabe, do you want to wait for the refueling operation, which will take the refueling operation will be done, and fueling will commence in about 7 hours. Did you still want to try to make an assault on the bridge, or do you want to wait it out?
I think they're coming for us, and so
Yeah, let's wait here. If they're coming for us, we're gonna get ready.
if that's the case, then I'm gonna
Okay.
put on a vac suit and hang out.
I'm gonna put on my armor and take the laser rifle and go to the airlock though, and kind of stand guard.
Just kind of wait.
I'm gonna stand on top of the ship and make rounds with my vac suit tethered off, just to visually watch if they're coming to try to assault us or something. You know, I kind of want to see them coming and be able to tell us that we're coming. But you know, the only real way to, you know, do that, or maybe use one of these probes to do that. Something.
well, I'm
those
going
lines.
to continue to monitor the life sensors.
So you monitor the life sensors, and you're not seeing that they're really making any kind of concerted effort to make their way to you over the next 7 hours. You don't see a whole lot of change. The biggest change that you do see is that the bulk of the bridge faction crew ends up here, in the common areas and galleys, around where this access point to this emergency crawlway. It looks to you like they're more concerned with somebody coming in through this emergency crawlway.
So they're preparing for a siege.
Yeah, more or less. And of course, you know, being in this area, it also protects their main entry point from the operations module. So they're not going out. So the 7 hours goes by, and once again you finally hear the ship starting to, you know, that rumble of fuel being dumped into empty tanks. That fueling will take probably another 3 to 4 hours.
I think just keep watching.
Well, hold on. Let's take a moment here and think while we keep watching. Perhaps we should start small rest rotations for these 3 hours. Like, let everybody get a quick hour rest or something in. So if something strings us out, we've got some fatigue, you know, stayed off.
Yeah,
We
You
might
get what I'm
also
saying?
might also want to plan our warp.
I was just going to say, does Gabe want to make an astrogation plus intellect check and do a course plot?
Oh, I shut up. Let him do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
We have to leave the airlock. I don't know if you could do that from the airlock.
yeah,
but-
he would have to come back to the bridge, but
Yeah, I'll go to
Good
the
in
bridge
his
and
head.
make that check. That's an astrogation.
that's the benefit of being on a scout ship. It takes you like what, 3.5 seconds to make it from the airlock to the bridge.
Mhm.
It's about the
Takes
size
some
of a
time.
Winnebago, and I'm not talking a big one either. So with an 8, yeah, you are able to land a course back to Chandler Station. And so, yeah, you guys can set up your watch rotation. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, no, there is no assault that comes your way. and the 3 hours goes by, and your tanks are reading full. You get a message from the chief engineer, and she messages you that her crew reports that you are full. And
All right.
having filled your tanks, there is now not enough fuel left on Endeavor for it to even make a 1 parsec jump.
So we need to run it through our filters to make sure that we're not. Let's
Yeah,
filter
absolutely.
this fuel, even if we think it is filtered, it might be contaminated, and so
That's fair. Yeah, but while we're filtering it, can we go ahead and get some distance between us and the
Yeah.
ship?
we should be able to. We should have enough fuel to be able to get to a jump spot.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
I mean, just get out of range of its immediate, gun. You get away. Let's sever the ties. Give them the old speech. So long and thanks for the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gabe,
I am a dolphin.
go ahead and make a piloting plus dex check, and suppose I should over here to the Askaya.
Are our sensor readings telling us that their weapon systems have been powered down?
You're not seeing that their weapon systems are active at all.
Wonderful. That's what I wanted.
So Gabe, Jack's 10. Yeah, you cut the umbilical, and you take off with no problems. You've got upwards of the M drive will do thrust too, so you can do 2 Gs. Now, a lot of times when you're flying, you would want to save. You maybe want to do 1 G and save 1 for maneuvers. There ain't nobody else out here though, so I don't know if you want to, do a full 2 G thrust and just get away as fast as you can, or are you going to be conservative?
Oh no, we're going as fast as we can.
Okay, so he floors it, and the Askaya takes off towards the 100 diameter jump limit. But I mean, I guess the only thing that is preventing you from jumping is the Endeavor. So 100 diameters ain't very far.
Right.
But if you are about another 3 hours to run that fuel through your fuel processor.
Yeah, because it's 40 tons of processing a day.
Right. So it's going to be a while. But you have essentially left the Endeavor behind to the point where you cannot see, or you cannot make out any details on your rearview mirror.
Yeah, we want to get out of weapon range. I think is really the key. I mean, they may retake the weaponry, and so as long as we're out of range of the turrets they've got,
right, and
then we can finish processing fuel and go.
Coming over here, I gotta look it up, but I do believe. So they have beam lasers. Yeah, their range is medium. So at like long, you are out of their range. And at 2 G's thrust, it doesn't take you very long to reach that. And of course, I assume that Jack is just going to keep going. I mean, you're not going to stop at just long range, right? Or are you just going?
No, we're going to keep going.
No, we'll go.
So one of the things that you start to realize as is that your maneuver drive is not working as efficiently as as you would be used to. And the reason for that, and Jack would know this, is that you guys are not in a star system. There's nothing here for the maneuver drive to maneuver. So maneuver drives, basically, in other games they've called them mass reaction drives, etc. But basically they are a gravitic drive, and so you have to be in a system with plenty of, junk floating out there that produces gravity and has mass. There is none out here, and so the further away from Deepnight Endeavor you get, your thrust potential drops to like 1, and then it drops to half a G of thrust. You're basically just barely puttering along. Standard maneuver drives are not made for deep space. But, like I said, there's nothing out here to threaten you other than the Endeavor, which is kind of a threat in and of itself.
And we'll still drift. I mean,
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things that the game system doesn't quite get right, is that if you're in space and you floor it to 2G's thrust and you reach that 2G's thrust, it'll continue to accelerate. There's nothing to stop it. And you could take your foot off the gas and you're going to just keep going. So, you are cooking right along, coasting. But you do notice that the efficiency of your drive system is diminishing rapidly.
Now that we're out here in the middle of nowhere and it's just us in the ship and all of that, I would like to use my psychic ability. Let me look at the proper name. Telepathy, the life detection.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an easy check. And
So,
I still have 9 points, so it'll be +1, +2 to pull off this easy check, right?
tell me, what are you trying to do?
Well, if I'm...
So the distance that they're talking about with life detection is a different distance than what you're looking at for ships.
I'm looking for our ship.
Oh, you're
if
looking at
there's
your
a
ship.
sentience
Okay.
of this spore thing on our ship,
Yeah.
my life detection should pick that up right before all that. Now we're away from the Endeavor. So it shouldn't interfere. I should only pick up the life signs of our friends.
The
If I pick
only
up this
sentience, the only sentience that you pick up, presence of other minds. The only minds that you pick up are the 4 of you.
Okay, that's what I wanted. If there was like another sentience going on if we had an infection or something, I know it's just a shot in the dark, but it's still a precaution.
Go ahead and make a science biology plus intellect check.
Oh, I have that too. Okay, sure. Biology 1, intellect, give me 1. This will be +2. Seven.
So with the information that you got back from the mission ops crew and your own experience, you realize a couple of things. If, let's say, that there were just a couple of spores, which is more than enough to cause trouble. I mean, you could have 1 spore, and it's more than enough to cause trouble. Between their data and your own experience, 1 or 2 spores would not come up on your life detection.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. But
and the only time that you have seen any kind of, and I'm using this term loosely, any kind of possible sentience is when there was that large cloud. It looked like it was either moving of its own volition or it was being directed.
Right.
And from some of the action that you saw from the Shambler that you fought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's also the possibility of stowaways sneaking upon the ship,
Right,
and
right.
and,
Yeah, you
and
don't.
see. So I mean, I'm just taking a safety precaution here. I got the results I wanted, which was just if there's a spore or something, I'm not gonna flip out later and go, oh, blah 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 blah, you know. But if there's 4 Marines hiding below my bed when I go to bed, you know, then I'm gonna be like, well, what the hell, DM, you know? So
Yeah, no.
yeah.
No, there was no stowaways, and you're not picking anything up other than your own crew.
Thank you.
Now, and of course, you know, in the week of jump, you'll get all of your side points back. So the 3 hours goes by, and Jack is able to get the ship at a very distant range from Deepnight. I mean, if you didn't have sensors, you wouldn't even know that the ship is there, is how far away you are. Who wants to make the engineering power plus intellect check to transfer power from the reactor to the jump drive?
Yeah, that's not me.
I know somebody's got engineering power at 0.
That's not me.
Yeah, I mean, there's several of us that have that. I didn't think we had to transfer power. What do we transfer the power from where to where?
So you're transferring it from your reactor to the drive. Well, hold on, maybe.
Or is this just the J drive engineering roll that I'd make for jumping?
Hold on here. Here's power. $20, $40, $60. So yeah, I mean, yeah, somebody. Well, you've only got 60 power points, and it looks like 63, 4, 66 is total in use by the ship. So you need 20 for the jump drive. So basically, you got to shut off like 6 power, but it's a routine check.
Okay.
You can take your time too. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, if you take your time, that's an
Yep.
additional +2. So yeah, you transfer the power, no problem. Who wants to make the engineering J drive plus intellect?
I'll do that. We've already got the astrogation check. How much did it?
It was dead on, so there's no bonus.
No bonus. Okay, that's
Okay.
that's all I was checking. I got a 15 on my roll.
Oh shit!
I'm really good at J drives.
I have not.
I'm really good at sensors. I'm really good at J drives. Those are my 2 things.
I have
+4.
not run a game yet where somebody said, "Oh shit, I rolled a 3 for J drive." No missed jumps so far.
Yeah, no, I have J drive skill at 4, and I have sensors at 4. Those are I've got those really pegged.
Yeah, in our Pirates game, the only way that the pilot can really screw up is if she rolls snake eyes, and that's only because I threw mishaps into the game. Because she could roll, she could roll a 2 and still. Oh well, I got like a 12. Like,
Well, and if I get an expert system computer that's assisting me, that's another +1. So I mean, there's ways to even bump it higher. So.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you hit the jump drive, and you guys are in jump for a week back to Chandler Station. Is there anything that you are thinking of doing while you are in jump?
I think we, as a group, probably want to piece together a full report that we can transmit. That we can transmit to, you know, that basically explains what's happening, what's gone on. You know, because I don't think we should dock with Chandler Station. Frankly, I think we should.
I agree.
I think we should let them know what's going on and let them make the call.
Yeah,
we've got a whole bunch of information that we can transmit to them.
Right.
And, I mean, you know, I think the only other thing we could do is you know, a very intense, you know, slow searching for spores with the medikit scanners all around the ship. If any of them start setting in anywhere, you know, and reproducing,
right?
You know, the bigger the hive, the easier it is to detect. So
it's likely the exterior of our ship is clear from the jump, but
correct.
Anything that we may have tracked in, if the if there's a possibility that the decontamination process was not sufficient, we should be paranoid as hell about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think during jump we should do a constant, ongoing. I mean, almost to like where anyone with the capabilities of running the tools that we have to search for this, do so. At least 8 hours a day. I mean, work the hell out of it. Try to find.
The area where I was concerned was that you filled your vac suit up with air from their system, and so that was where I think we probably opened up our biggest. That was what had made me nervous, that their air supply might have had spores in it.
So, you guys spend the week, getting your story straight and prepping a report and collating, adding all of are you adding all of the data to this report? I mean, is it just going to be a massive information dump, or?
I that makes the most sense. I mean, we'll have like consolidated report that's, and then have the big one that has, here's all the medical information that has been that we got.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one giant report and then smaller abbreviated reports that the TLDR, summary of, here's the 1-page summary, here's the 5-page summary, here's the full report, with, here's each chapter that you can go to. So if you want the better, I mean, we have a whole week. We can put together a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes.
We have the opportunity to make this a pretty detailed report.
And then so is Bocephus doing, like, you said that you wanted to go over the sensors, make sure that the ship has remained clear. Are you doing like?
I'm doing it with the metascanner. I'm looking for spores, everything like that. It's
right.
I mean, I got that, and so I'm going over the crew. Everything.
So the metascanner is not something that you can really use to scan the ship. I mean, you've
right.
You need to be within 0.2 meters in order for the metascanner to work. It's designed for going over somebody who's injured, so you need to be right there in front of them. So going over even a ship the size of the Serpent is going to be, you'd have an easier time of delousing the ship using an ace comb than you would finding anything with the metascanner. However, if you wanted to do, like, you could set up a routine of like daily exams, where you go over the crew.
Definitely would like to do that then, and deep cleaning. Getting in there with disinfectant that is antifungal disinfectant, and I mean just
fire. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily want to burn the ship, but yeah. Not while we're on it.
Yeah, what they do with it later is their business.
Yeah. But I will detail all my cleaning in a report to give Sarda more stuff to stuff in the papers on where we've been.
Okay, go ahead and make a medic plus intellect check.
This will be at +4.
Wow.
Look at that.
Okay, yeah, you can't get any better than that. You critically drilled that. So you scan the crew. None of you are infected. You throughout the week. I mean, how many times a day are you doing the exams? Just once? I mean, nobody's got a fever. Nobody's.
I think once a day until I see an anomaly is fine. I mean, if anybody starts getting little splotchy crap on their face, then we'll talk about changing things. But I mean,
Jack's starting to, after about day 3, Jack's starting to get a little irritated with getting a finger in the bum every day. But aside from that, he's like, really? Do you have to check my prostate every time?
I've got small fingers for a reason.
You gotta buy him a drink at least first. I mean, come on.
Well, I actually I have like these fish oil natural lubricants on my skin, and I thought humans found it most pleasurable. So
So, so
Oh.
a week goes by. You don't see any sign of contagion. The crew seems to be particularly healthy, and so you come out of jump space, and right where you are supposed to. I mean, in fact, you're a little bit closer than the 100 diameter jump, and you are at Chandler Station. So you said you don't want to dock with Chandler Station.
Nope.
How much of a distance are you talking about staying?
We'd want to be out. We'd want to be in a location that we're not going to be in the way of ships that are attempting to dock and
Yeah,
leave.
you want to stay
know what
out
I
of
mean?
the flight pattern.
we could just stay put, right?
Yeah, I think we could be as close as possible without being in the flight pattern is really where we want to be. It's just we just don't. The fear is that we might have contaminants that we're unaware of, so we don't want to dock. At the same time, we don't want to get in anybody's way.
So we should send out a distress signal, possibly saying that we are a hazard, so ships would give us a wide berth and the authorities would contact us.
Sure.
Okay.
And hail the station.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you hail the station. They kind of, immediately come on because they receive your distress signal beforehand, and the Chandler Flight Control wants to know, what kind of contagion, what is going on.
It's a new alien life form that the Deep Space Nine has become infested, or the Endeavor has become infested with.
Mm-hmm.
We located the Endeavor. We made contact with them. They are in need of supplies and rescue, but their ship has been taken over by an alien life form. We've done everything we can to make sure that our ship is contaminant free. We have been doing ongoing testing, but to preserve the integrity of the Chandler Station, we don't want to dock immediately without having gone over the ship with a fine-tooth comb. And I'll basically transmit the very short report and then say I have much more detail that I can provide as well in terms of further reports.
So they confirm and tell you that standard procedure would be for standard procedure first of all is that you will basically hang out where you're at for a week, quarantine, and if you don't show any signs of contagion at that point, they will send over a shuttle that will dock. They will have their doctors go over you.
Yep.
And then, assuming that everything is good, then you will be cleared to dock with Chandler Station. So that's their quarantine procedure. But they tell you to stand by, and probably about 15 minutes goes by. And somebody comes back on, and this is a different person, obviously somebody of higher rank. From what you see on the screen, he is wearing an IISS uniform. And I'm not talking about the standard scout jumpsuit either. He's wearing a uniform.
Right.
And he tells you that he wants all of the data, all of your reports on the matter.
Send him everything, including the raw data beyond what we've put together.
Okay.
It's a big ton of information.
You send that big ton of information, and oops, that's the wrong one. And about 3 hours later, you see a ship. Well, roll a electronic sensors plus intellect check.
Plus intellect.
Or education, your choice.
Okay, education. That would be a 10.
Okay. So you see a ship, a Wakama class message boat. Just similar to the one that you rode in getting to Chandler Station.
Mm-hmm.
These things have jump 6, and it takes off with your sensors.
That's head to Tobiah. I'm guessing.
No, close. You realize that it is actually headed for. With your sensors, you can pretty solidly say that it is heading for Bastion.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that one's bringing our report and data to higher ups.
And so they'll be gone for a week, and essentially it at this point is out of your hands.
Yep. I will stress that I will stress to him that they are going to need resupplies at the very least, and so that this is you'll find that list of what each faction on the ship requests in terms of a more immediate resupply. But it's obvious that any type of real rescue or anything else is going to take months. But
the scientific aspect of it, we should maybe put as a top secret thing or something. Maybe that shouldn't be in the general report that we go and just give the psionic breakdown. Because if we know about psionics, then that's kind of saying, hey, we've got psions.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to tell IISS or the Imperial.
I'm just
I just assume that since your race is
naturally
participating,
so.
I mean, that's sort of the. They don't know that I'm psionic, but I mean, your race is psionic, and that's known. So I wasn't as worried about you having psionic information that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I think that I have this special psion pass that I've been empirically okayed to be a freak, then I won't mind.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, most imperial authorities would prefer that you take a dampening drug once a day so that you're not psionic. But
and we certainly don't need to mention how many years you spent training to be a scion.
Right,
that whole thing is you don't. Yeah.
I think it's best just to leave the whole psionic part of the reports and all of that out, and then let them figure that out. I mean, we're giving a big warning, and they'll take precautions. But
I would go so far as to say that even without the psionics, this alien fungal infection is dangerous enough.
Sure.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, I don't want to put a red flag that gets us.
I think my concern is that we already have recorded logs and everything else that mention the psionic aspect, and so editing those things would be more difficult and unusual and raise flags than just leaving them as is.
That's true too. Yeah, it's up to you if you want to edit that part out. But going over the report that of what they've received. The IISS officer assures you that that the situation is being taken care of. It is being handled. We have now, as part of your report, did you? I assume that part of your report was transmitting the location.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to put that in.
So he tells you that. That part, because he is aware that Deepnight is offering a reward, so he has transmitted that with your and your logs to Deepnight Exploration LLC or LIC rather, and at this point it's out of your hands. It's been handed to the right authorities. The reward is, they're backing you up. It's going to be yours as soon as you're able to dock. And he says, now, have you talked to anybody else about this?
Just you and the person who we immediately spoke to.
He says, okay, he says, don't. This is now as of now, IISS is classifying this as red zone, and we don't speak of red zone. So I mean, the entire site, as far as IISS, that entire location of where the fuel dump used to be, is now a red zone. And he says we're not going to discuss this with anybody.
That's assumed.
And he says right after your quarantine is up, you will be debriefed about this entire situation. And so the next thing that you realize is that as soon as he gets off the radio with you, your communications are jammed.
Yep.
And you basically sit listening to static. Well, no, they're nicer than that. They pipe in. Their jamming is to pipe in the Chandler radio station that is played throughout the base for you to listen to whenever you turn on your comm system. But other than that, there's a lot of Def Leppard playing. But other than that, that's all you get.
Can I, once every other day use my sonic abilities to kind of project a calm and patient feeling amongst the crew?
Yeah.
Just to keep anxiety low, Let's make it a nice mellow.
Certainly. Go ahead and make your psionics check for telepathy.
All right. Let's see. This will be at +3 because I'm full. $10.
Okay. So the week goes by, and people stay. You guys all stay fairly calm and in good spirits, thanks to Bocephus's calming effect.
That's good. That's good. We're not going space nuts then, right?
No.
I've been trying to head that off since the beginning. Just the name of the adventure makes me think long times in space, sneaky dungeon masters with their psychic moral rolls and crap, people freaking out,
rolling
trying
behind a
to
screen.
Yeah. So
yeah. The week goes by. Bocephus, you check them out. Nobody has any signs of an infection. The jamming at the end of the week, they turn that off, and you are radioed. They want to know if you have seen any sign of contagion. Of course, your response is no, because there isn't. And they send over doctors who go over you each with a fine-tooth comb and more rubber gloves, and they deem you guys are healthy. And so they bring you back. Or allow you to dock with Chandler Station. Gabe, have Jack make a piloting plus dex check. He'll be so calm that he forgot how to fly the ship. So Jack brings you guys in and docks, makes it look easy. The Askaya has been a good little ship for you. You give it back to IISS, and they basically debrief you. They ask you a series of questions. Are you guys being deceptive about anything?
Oh no.
that I'm not going to talk about my psionic abilities.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk to them about that at all.
Jack, they specifically ask you, since you have a Marine background, what your assessment of Captain Miklos is.
I strongly believe he needs to be replaced. His failure is only hindering efforts to recover the ship and the crew.
Okay.
I don't know about other members of the command team, but he himself is definitely not up to snuff.
They going over it. They say, yeah, this master at arms, Arbone. He doesn't seem like he's very much exo material, in our opinion. What's your assessment of him?
I didn't have any interaction with anyone other than the captain to make any assessments, but I would certainly replace the captain.
They thank you for your candor. Now, the last part of the debriefing is they all have you together in a briefing room, and they tell you that well, the first thing that they do is they hand you basically it's a strong box that they unlock and open, and inside is 100,000 credits in hard currency. That is the reward from Deepnight. It arrived shortly after you got out of quarantine. So you guys can divvy that up however you like. You got 4 of you here. I don't know if you want to split it 6 ways. I'm not sure what happened to Jackie. He's kind of gone silent for a while, and I have not been able to get any response from him, so I'm hoping everything's okay.
Well, you know what? I'll take his share, and it's only right. It's only fair.
Yeah, and I mean, and Luke's not here, so I mean, you can cut. He's got plenty of money anyways. I don't think he's going to care. So if you want to divide that 4 ways, you certainly can.
So that is 100,000 credits divided by 4 is 25,000 credits each.
There you go. You now have some walking around cash.
I can buy a flamethrower.
Oh yes.
Can I go buy another transceiver?
Yes, you certainly can. You can buy you can replace your transceivers. So he tells
And then
you.
should we?
So this officer, this IASS officer, is joined by a naval intelligence officer, and they tell you essentially. So they reiterate the top secrecy of the situation aboard Endeavour. Don't talk to anybody about it. And in fact, they think that it might be best. I mean, yes, we are out on the ass end of charted space, but we kind of feel like it would be best if you weren't on Chandler Station and you technically weren't anywhere within 20 parsecs of this entire area. So we have a potential job we'd like to hire you for, and we feel that it would be right up your skills and alley.
Well, it comes with the ship.
Yeah, we are a good team. I like every one of my companions. We are a hardy crew.
Well, we would like to send you to the island's subsectors. It is not tropical. Island subsectors, and I think I have a map I can show. Yeah, here we go. So island subsectors, there is a small section of the rift that is not completely barren. And out in the middle of this rift, there is these 2 subsectors of systems and whatnot that were initially colonized by sleeper ships, colony ships, way back. I would say probably First Imperium, if not, right around the time that just before Terra was getting Jump 1, these sleeper ships went out there. So these planets have been out here for a long time. They are generally not considered a part of the Imperium. Um, they have got their own little government structure set up, if you would call it that, is the way he puts it. He says that there has been some concern among the Admiralty that well, we like to keep an eye on them, and the problem is that one of our assets has gone missing, and we would like you to pick it up. It is a fat trader called Perfect Stranger, and it basically plies the systems of the subsector gathering intelligence, and it is heavily modified as an intelligence gathering ship, and it has gone missing. Its last known coordinates.
What's the name again? Sorry, Chris.
The ship's name is the Perfect Stranger.
Okay, perfect.
And last known coordinates are that it made it to a Mondiage, and then it went missing. So we think that it's on a Mondiage, and we would like to send you as a your cover story will be that you are a part of you are the salvage crew for this trading corporation going to pick up your company's assets and and go home with them.
Please
So
tell me there's a Captain Bartakavos.
That would require some type of ship.
We
right?
will supply passage to a Mondiage, and from there you can pick up the Perfect Stranger and make your own way home. Now, of course, as you're making your way home, we would hope that you would engage the intelligence gathering equipment aboard that ship and gather as much additional data as you possibly can. Your goal is to get from a Mondiage to Zuflucht up here, and from there, Imperial naval assets will meet you and take you from there.
Okay, so I thought you said that they lost track of the ship.
Its last known location was a Mondiage.
Right, so we're just going to get dropped off as passengers on the planet that's there in a Mondiage, and the hope is that that ship is still there.
Correct.
But if the ship is not there, we're just going to be stranded on that system.
Well, you could hire at that point. You could hire passage and to get you back to Zuflucht, where there is a naval base, and you could make your way back to civilization, as it were.
Right.
Now, of course,
I'm okay with it. That sounds like a wonderful time for me.
And of course, the reward for this is going to be, and he doesn't give you a dollar amount, but he says that there are a lot of perks for being friends of the Naval Intelligence Service.
That sounds like a wonderful group of guys to get into it with. Most trustworthy companions. I'm sure they are a just and honorable group.
So, before we close up tonight, I would like to give you guys. You guys handled this really well. Maybe it was the pandemic, but you guys all seem to have this whole quarantine situation.
Yeah, we're not touching any of that crap, eh?
Yeah.
I worked in a lab. I know what. I mean, just a contact lens manufacturing laboratory safety precautions like. And I also work for a dairy, and I know how dairy precautions. And so you're sitting there going, "This has got to be so far beyond that I don't want to mess with any contaminants." I am totally
I'm going to grant you guys 2 XP points each.
Ooh.
That you can spend in the usual way. I believe it is
It's 1 point to go to 0. It's 1 point to go to 1 from 0.
Yeah, page 39 has the chart.
I know. I modified it in my game, but I was giving out more XP.
Yeah, page 39 of Traveler Companion has the chart.
That's the chart.
And so that should give you guys a little boost to some skills there, and or some new skills.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up a couple new skills. I think. I want recon and persuasion. I think.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I've got recon pretty much covered there. Like,
Yeah, but he often's asking for all of us to roll it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll have you do a recon check to see if you notice something like out of the corner of your eye or things of that nature. My thought is that usually if military or SWAT guys are coming in to do something, they're not coming in a way that you will see them running straight for the front door. They're going to be semi-stealthily or taking cover, and you may not always see that, so a recon check will let you see that out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah, no, I definitely want recon. It goes with my whole theme of clairvoyance and sensors. I want to be able to see things.
Right.
I think, you know what, I might actually even do something like maybe even increase that mechanic 1 to a mechanic 2. I don't know why. I just kind of have a general feeling that that's going to come in really handy one day.
Yeah. Yeah. The other ones that are skills that you may not deal with a lot, but are infinitely handy is engineering power and engineering life support.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, you guys at least have a 0 in it, but I've actually played some games where they didn't even have that, and it's like, man, that's
one of my pirates.
Not somebody I want to fly with.
One of my Pirates of Drenash groups has only 1 character with any ship skills. It's really kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's scary.
So.
Yeah, my Pirates of Drynax group doesn't have an engineer. They have pilots, but nobody ever took engineering. So they have a crewman on board by the name of Kathy Hash, which brought her daughter Beth on board. And Kathy is a naval engineer of extremely talented proportions. But she comes with a bounty on her head of a husband that wants to have her killed and wants to take his daughter back.
Yeah. God, I love the Trojan Reach.
That is the twist. That is the twist.
Not being able to make that J drive is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I the only one that has a gunner turret?
Yes.
I may have it. Let me check.
Well, you already have piloting, aren't you? You're scanning.
I've got a 0. I'm trained in gunner, but I don't have any ranks in it.
All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump my turret up to 2. So that's how I'm going to spend my 2 points. I'm going to take it from 1 to 2. So my turret gunner will be at 2, and that will be my roll if we fight. Provided the ship that we get has guns and we have to use them. So
they tell you that Perfect Stranger is armed.
Okay, then yeah. Sounds like something I'd be like worthy of my 2 points.
I'm assuming it has I'm assuming it has a crew that may not be happy with us taking control of it.
That's too bad for them.
You're not. Well, he doesn't. That's not really the gist of his assumption. His assumption is the vessel either. He's not sure, but it was lost.
I'm just saying. I doubt it's parked at the starport with the keys in the ignition. That's all I'm saying. Is it?
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
All right.
I
So,
want to. Well, during the off week, can I purchase some things and it go retroactive from
Yeah.
the Chandler's? Does it like some medical supplies
Oh, yes.
and another transponder?
yeah, if anything throughout this next week, anything that you want to purchase, write it down, deduct it from your credits, and then just let us know what it is that you purchased at the beginning of the game next week, and we'll start with you landing on a Mondiage and starting. What's the name of this adventure? It is Islands in the Rift.
Yeah, I
That
don't have
sounds
it.
exciting. Was that last one? Was that an actual deep night? That was an actual deep night adventure. Is this one like a sub one, or is this still with the main theme of the?
This is Rift Adventure number 1, and but yeah, the last one was Deep Night Endeavor. It was Rift Adventure number 2, which really was the precursor and what led to, or was the the precursor to Deep Night Revelation, which is kind of why I wanted to run it. But this is the Islands in the Rift. Really, the goal of these first 3 adventures is to get you a little bit of experience under your belts, so you beef up your skills a little bit before we jump into into Revelation, which will be beginning after this next adventure. And yeah, so there is also going to be a news article going up, and I'll post that as soon as it goes up. You guys are gonna shit when you see this news article.
I imagine they just wiped out the thing. I'm guessing everybody died. That'd be my guess.
That's probably a safe bet. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I was
you've
just
read
hoping that
Agent of the Imperium, that is kind of the direction that they would go.
Yeah, I was worried that they might take that approach with our ship, given all the information we were providing them. But yeah, that's. I mean, worst case scenario, we end up eventually working with some of those guys.
Right. Yeah.
You end up reporting to that captain. That would be worst case scenario.
Right.
Somehow.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't make it. I'm sure he didn't make it.
If
they were already hurting on food.
That recording sealed his fate in terms of court-martial. So
yeah.
At the least, he's out of a job.
Yeah.
And all kinds of cred he had as a captain went to shit. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I will see you guys next Friday, 7 o'clock on Friday night for the beginning of Islands in the Rift. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you.
Great.
Take care.
Chris.
All right. Have a good night, guys.